Welcome to the fourth presentation of these CBT questions from the PSR book. Today we'll consider section in chapter 2 of 3 and 3 of this book that borders more on promotion, prescribed exams or confirmation, and confirmation exams. This presentation will help enhance your preparation for these exams because the questions we'll be discussing and interacting will help consolidate the visual options in your mind, and as such you can be able to remember them easily in your exam hall. That's the whole essence of this visual presentation, and I hope you can make good use of it if you already have the digital copy of our book. And if you have not, we have, for more extensive preparation, have compiled a 599-page book that presents over 2,000 past CBT question and answer, because there is no past question yet. CBT question and answers, and that also include current affairs that can help you prepare extensively for your exam. So you do well to check the description section of this video to see a link where you can grab a digital copy of this book now by clicking that link. Review from persons who have started reading this book and have took some mock exams have shown that this book can truly be helpful to you. So if you have not downloaded your own digital copy, do well to check the link below and download your own digital copy. Remember, preparation is just the difference between success and missed opportunity. Now, let's get started. We're going to look at the first question for today. The first question says, what is one of the conditions for a non-pensionable officers to be granted leave? Is it A, the rules do not prescribe for leave; B, they are entitled to annual leave as per the rules; C, they are entitled to leave in accordance with the provisions of chapter 12 of the rules; and D, the leave is at the discretion of the permanent secretary. Now, the answer to this question is option C. If you check the PSR rule, chapter 2, section 12 and rule 14, it states that the person engaged shall be entitled to leave in accordance with the provision of chapter 12. So remember, chapter 12 talks about non-pensionable officers. So I want you to check that out at your reading time. Now let's look at question number 2. What is the legal requirement for a non-pensionable officers to make good any pecuniary damage arising from their negligence or failure to comply with an order? A, the officer is not liable. B, the officer is liable to have a deduction from their salary to make good the damage. C, the officer must pay the full amount upfront. And D, the officer must be terminated. Now take a pause on this video and think about this question. Which do you think is the right option? Good 18, we have the option. Let's see the option. The option is option B, the correct option. PSR Rule Chapter 2 Section 12 Rule 11 states that in the event of any pecuniary damage arising from the persons engaged disregarding or failing to comply with any order, he may be liable to a deduction from his salary to make good the damage or any part thereof. So the correct option is option B. Now let's look at question number 3. What is the consequence of failing to pass the compulsory confirmation exam for clerical grade officer? Remember, clerical grade officer, these are for grade 6 and below. A, the officer will be retired. B, the officer will have their probationary period extended. C, the officer may have their appointment terminated at the end of the probationary period. D, the officer will be demoted. Which do you think is the right option? Now let's look at the right option? The right option is option C. Option C states that the officer may have the appointed terminated at the end of the probationary period. And this is in line with PSR Chapter 2, Section 3 and Rule 3, which specifies that an officer on probation is required to pass the prescribed exam, and failure to do so may lead to the termination of the appointment. Now let's look at some questions on prescribed examination for confirmation. Question 4. According to the Public Service Rule, who is responsible for the conduct and supervision of compulsory confirmation examination? Is it A, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, B, the Permanent Secretary or head of Extra-Ministerial Department, C, the Federal Civil Service Commission, or D, the Examination Board? Now let's look at the answer to this question. Remember, the Federal Civil Service Commission also have a board. Now let's look at the right option. The right option is option B. The rule PSR Rule Chapter 3, Section 1, Rule 2 states that the permanent secretary or head of any extra-ministerial department is responsible for the conduct and supervision of these examinations. So the correct option is option B. Question number 5. What is the consequence for an officer who failed to pass the compulsory confirmation exam within the stipulated period? A. The officer is granted an extension, retake the exams. B. The officer's appointment is terminated. C. The officer is demoted to a lower grade level. D. The officer is suspended without pay. According to PSR Chapter 3, Section 1, Rule 4, clearly states that failure to pass the examination within the specified time shall result in the termination of the officer's appointment. So the correct option is option B. Now let's look at question number 6. For a probationary officer, how often should the compulsory examination confirmation exam be held? For a probationary officer: A. Once every quarter. B. Once every 6 months. C. Once a year. D. As stipulated by the examination board. Now, the right option to this question is option B. The PSR Rule Chapter 3, Section 1, Rule 6 specify that this examination shall be held at intervals of not more than 6 months. Question number 7. Which of the following professional officers are exempted from passing the compulsory confirmation examination? Is it A. Medical doctors, B. Accountant, C. Engineers, D. Law professionals? Now look at these options very well. Which do you think is the right option? Which do you think can be exempted from passing the compulsory examination? I'm looking at medical doctors. Let's look at if the option is right. So this is how you look at options in your exams, because if you come to a question where you don't know the option, remember the best option is one of the odd options you can think of. Now let's look at the correct option. Wow, correct option is D. The PSR Rule Chapter 3, Section 1, Rule 9 grant an exception from the compulsory confirmation examination to law professionals. So to lawyers, they grant exception. So that's the correct option. Option what? Option D. Let's look at the next question. Question 8. When is an officer who is a confirmed member of the junior staff committee or senior staff committee required to sit for the compulsory confirmation exams? Is it A, only if they are a new recruit? B, they are not required to sit for any compulsory confirmation exam? C, they must sit for the examination regardless of their committee membership? And D, the permanent secretary may grant them a waiver. Now let's look at the option. When is an officer who is a confirmed member of the junior staff or senior staff required to sit for the compulsory confirmation exam? The correct option is option B. According to the PSR chapter 2, section 3, rule 6, it says officers who are confirmed member of the GSC or SSC are exempted from the compulsory confirmation exam. So the right option is option B. They are not required to sit for any compulsory confirmation exam once they are part of the senior staff committee or the junior staff committee. Now let's look at the next question. Question number 9. Which of the following material are allowed to be used by candidates during the compulsory confirmation examination? A. Any textbook of their choice. B. All public service rule and financial regulation. C. Reference book specified by the examination board. B. Only notebooks and pen. Question number 10, the correct option is option C. Option C is reference book specified by the examination board. Rule 8 of the PSL specified that candidates may be allowed to use specified reference book during the examination. Option C. Question number 10. The chairman of the examination board for the confirmation exam shall be of what rank? A. Director. B. Permanent Secretary. D. Deputy Director. And D. Head of Service. Now, if you look at all these options, you can see that option D is odd. Now, let's look if that might be the correct option. But it's good to read in between the line. That's wrong. So option A is the right option. Remember, the question says the chairman of the examination board for the confirmation exam shall be of which rank? This is isolated because it is what? Because it is option D is isolated. Option D is isolated because it is off. It is not even part of a rank. Head of service is the head of the whole federation. So we'll take it out because he's not supposed to be the chairman of the examination board for confirmation exams. We are looking at these three. So the right option is option what? A. Because the PSR Rule 3 states that the examination board shall be headed by the director. Director, not the head of service. So take note of this, it's very important. These are most likely questions you might see. Question number 11. What is the consequences for an officer who fails to present themselves for a compulsory confirmation examination without an acceptable reason? A. The officer is given another chance to write the examination. B. The officer is suspended for a month. C. The officer's appointment is liable to be terminated. And D. The officer is demoted. The right option to this question is option C. According to the PSR Rule 0301, Rule 5, an officer who fails to present himself or herself for the exam without an acceptable reason is liable to have the appointment terminated immediately. So the right option is option C. Now you should note that in all series of questions that has to do with failure to write compulsory exams, every option has to do with termination of appointment. So whenever you see any question like this in the exam hall, you should know that the answer is termination of their appointment, failure to take the compulsory confirmation exam. Now let's look at questions on compulsory confirmation examination for senior executive officer SEOs and administrative officers and professionals. And these are Compo 1 and 2. Question number 12. Which officers are required to pass the compulsory confirmation examination Compo 1 and 2 for senior executive, administrative, and professional role? Is it A, all officers on grade level 08 and above? B, officers on grade level 10 and above? C. Officers on grade level 8 to 14 who are on probation, and D. All officers on probation regardless of grade level. Now, the PSR rule in Chapter 3, Section 2, Rule 1 specifies that officers on grade level 8 to 14 who are on probation are required to pass the compulsory confirmation examination, Compro 1 and 2. So the correct option is option C. Take good note of this. It is very important. Question number 13. The syllabus for the compulsory confirmation exam for senior officer is determined by which body? A. The Federal Civil Service Commission. B. The Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. C. The Permanent Secretary of the MDA. D. The National Council on Establishment. The right option is option B. The Rule 2 refers to the syllabus for the examination, which is prepared by the Office of the Head of the Federation. So the correct option is Office of the Head of this Federation. They determine the syllabus that will be used for the examination. Question number 14. Compro 1 is for officers on what grade level? A. Grade level 8 and below. B. Grade level 8 to grade level 10. C. Grade level 8 to grade level 9. And D. Grade level 10 and above. Which do you think is the right option? Remember, we have Compro 1 and Compro 2. So take note of this. Is it grade level 08 and below? Let's find out. The correct option is option C. Option C, grade level 08 and 09. Take notes. Remember, the Compro exams is meant for officers on grade level 08 to 14. So 08 and 09 take Compro 1. So any officer that is employed on 08 or 09 will take Compro 1, while any officer that is employed on grade 10 and above will have to take Compro what? Compro 2. Now, the syllabus section of the document, that is the PSR, specify that Compro 1 is for officers on grade level 09 and 08, and Compro 2 is for officers on grade level 10 to what? 14. So the correct option is option C. Take a good note of this question. Let's look at question number 15. An officer on grade level 11 is required to sit for which compulsory confirmation examination? Is it Compro 1, Compro 2, C, both Compro 1 and 2, and D, neither as their senior officer? Now remember, grade level 10 to 14 is Compro 2. So the correct option should be option B. Now let's check that out. Correct option is B because the rule states that Compro 2 is for officers on grade level 10 to 14, which include an officer on grade level 11. So however the question comes, make sure you give it to the examiner the way he wants to see the question. Now, question number 16. How many papers must an officer on grade level 9 pass to be confirmed? All 3 papers of Compro 1, all 6 papers of Compro 2, all 5 papers of Compro 1, all 5 papers of Compro 2. Now, an officer in grade level 9 takes Compro 1 and Compro 1. So, option B and option D are off the hook. So, we are in for option A and C. So, which do you think is the right option? That is how you separate your option in the examination hall with speed and accuracy. So the only option you should be thinking of is option A and option C. Now let's look which is the correct option. The correct option is option C. The rule 2 list 5 papers for compulsory Compro 1 which officers on grade level 8 to 9 must pass to be confirmed. Now let's look at question number 17. For the Compro examination, what is the pass mark for each subject? 40, 50, 60 or D 70 mark? The right option is option B The pass mark of 50% in each subject is required for every compro exam. Question number 18. An officer on grade level 14 must sit for how many subjects in the compulsory confirmation examination? A. 3 subjects, B. 4 subjects, C. 5 subjects, and D. 6 subjects. The syllabus for Compro 2 for officers on grade level 10 to 14 lists 4 subjects. And what are the 4 subjects? Public service rule, financial regulation, general knowledge, and civil service reforms. So the correct option is option B. Question number 20. What is the maximum number of sitting an officer is allowed for the compulsory confirmation exam? Always take note of this, maximum and minimum in your exams. Is it A, 2, B, 3, C, 4, or D, 5? The correct option is option B. This rule do not explicitly state this, however, it is a well-known provision of the PSR that the maximum number of sitting is what? Is 3. And failure to pass the maximum number of sitting might lead to termination of their appointment. Now let's look at compulsory confirmation or promotion exams for junior officers. Compro 2. What is the primary purpose of the compulsory confirmation or promotion exam for junior officer? A. To test their general knowledge. B. To prepare them for promotion to senior post. C. To confirm their appointment or promote them. And D. To evaluate their performance. The correct option is option C. The title of the section itself is compulsory confirmation slash performer promotion exams indicate that it is both for confirmation and for promotion purpose. So the correct option is C, to confirm the appointment or promote them. Question number 22. Which of the following is not a subject for junior officers in compulsory confirmation or promotion examination? A. Public service rule. B. Financial regulation. C. Public knowledge. D. Public administration. The PSR rule chapter 3 section 3 rule 1 lists the subject for junior officers as public service rule, financial regulation, and general knowledge. Public administration is not included. So the correct option is option D. Remember, which of the following is not? Public administration is not. Question number 23. An officer on grade level 5 who is a junior officer needs to pass which examination to be confirmed in their appointment? A. Compro 1. B. Compro 2 Junior. C. Both Compro 1 and 2. D. A separate departmental examination. Now, which do you think is the right option? This is a bit dicey. Now, let's look at what the rule says. The right option is option B, Compro 2 for Junior. Section 3 is titled Compro Confirmation slash Promotion Exam for Junior Officer and is co-titled Compro 2, which apply to officers on grade level 6 and what and below. Now take notice of this. It is different from Compro 2 that is meant for officers in level 10, grade level 10 to 14. Take note of this, it's very important. So this is for officers in grade level 6 and below. It is that Compro 2 Junior. Let's look at question number 24. What is the implication of passing the compulsory confirmation examination for junior officers at an accelerated level? The officer is immediately promoted to a senior level. B. The officer is exempted from future promotion examinations. C. The officer is granted an accelerated promotion to the next grade level. C. The officer receives a cash award. Question C is the answer. Rule 2 discusses a pass at accelerated level for junior officer, which lead to accelerated what? Promotion to the next grade level. Question number 25. The number of papers a junior officer must pass to be confirmed is, remember, they are taking 3 papers. Rule 1 lists 3 subjects for the examination: public service rule, financial regulation, and general knowledge. So they have to pass these 3 subjects in order to be confirmed. Let's look at question number 26. Which body is responsible for preparing the syllabus for the compulsory confirmation examinations for junior officer? Is it A, the Federal Civil Service Commission, B, the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, C, Junior Staff Committee, D, Ministry of Education? The right option is option B. The syllabus for junior officer examination is prepared by the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, similar to the one for senior officer. So the right option is option B. Question number 27. An officer on probation who fails to pass the compulsory confirmation or promotion exam for junior officer is liable to what consequences? You know what the consequence is for senior, is already the consequence for junior. A, is it a fine? B, is it a deferment of their increment? C, is it the termination of their appointment? And D, a transfer to another department? Let's find out. The right option is C. So anything that has to do with failing of confirmation or promotion exams, that has to do with confirmation goes with termination of appointment. I want you to always note that in case you see questions like this in your examination. Question number 28. What is the required pass mark for each subject in the compulsory confirmation or promotion exam for junior officer? Remember, that of the senior officers is 50%. Now let's look at that of junior officer, the same 50%. So the pass mark for senior is the same pass mark for junior officer. So take note of that. Now we are looking at police and paramilitary services confirmation or promotion examination. If you are enjoying this presentation, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Ask your questions on better ways in which we can promote this, we can present this to you. And also, if you have questions that you feel is troubling you and you want answers to them, drop them in the comment section and we'll discuss it in our next presentation. Thank you very much for your support. We do appreciate. Now let's look at question number 29. What is the primary requirement for officers in police and paramilitary services with regard to confirmation and promotion examinations? A, they must pass the same examination as civil servants. B, they must pass the examination prescribed by their respective service commissions. C, they are exempted from all confirmation examination. D, they are required to take an oral interview instead of an examination. The right option to this question is option B. The PSR Rule Chapter 3, Section 4, Rule 1 states that officers of police and paramilitary services are required to pass the examination prescribed by their respective service commission. Question number 30. The responsibility for the conduct and supervision of this examination for police and paramilitary services lies with whom? A, the Federal Civil Service Commission. B, the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. C, the respective service commissions. D, the Permanent Secretary of their ministry. So the right option to this question is option C. The rule specifies that these examinations are prescribed by their respective service commission, implying that the commission also conduct and supervise them. So their respective service commission, that is the police service commission, are the one that takes care of these examination, but the commission, that is the public, the Federal Civil Service Commission also supervise what? Also supervise them. Now, question number 31 says, can a police officer on probation be confirmed without passing the prescribed examination? A, yes, if they have excellent service record. B, yes, if they have a recommendation from their senior officers. No, it is a compulsory requirement for confirmation. Yes, if they are promoted to a higher rank. The right option is option C, which states that no, it is a compulsory requirement for confirmation. The title of the section and the rule itself refer to confirmation or promotion exam, making it mandatory requirement for all relevant officers. Question number 32. What is the effect of failing the confirmation exam for a paramilitary officer on probation? A, their probation period is extended. B, they are transferred to another unit. C, their appointment is terminated. And D, they are demoted. The correct option is C. We always know that. It always leads to termination of appointment. Question number 33. Which of the following body is not a paramilitary service in the context of uh, this section? A, Nigerian Customs Service. B, Nigerian Immigration Service. C, Nigerian Prison Service. D, Federal Ministry of Finance. You should know this answer to this question already, because here say which of the following body is not? The Federal Ministry of Finance is not a paramilitary service. The option is option D. Now let's look at question number 34. The examination for police and paramilitary services are primarily designed to test an officer's knowledge of A, general knowledge and current affairs. C, civil service rules and regulation. B, laws and regulation governing their respective services. And D, advanced management technique. The right option is option C. The purpose of the examination is to ensure officers are competent in the rules and regulations specific to their services. Option C is the right option. Now let's look at question number 35. Are officers in the police and paramilitary services required to sit for the compulsory confirmation exam, Compro 1 and 2 for civil servants? A, yes, they must sit for both. B, yes, they must sit for Compro 2. C, no, they have their own prescribed examination. D, it is optional for them. The right option is option C. The Public Service Rule, Chapter 3, Section 4, Rule 1 specifies that they must pass the examination prescribed by their respective service commission, not the Civil Service Compro examination. So the option is option C. No, they have their prescribed examination. Take note of this. It's very important. They have their own prescribed examination they must pass. Now let's look at question number 34. What is the main objective of the compulsory examination for police and paramilitary officers? A, to identify candidates for promotion. B, to ensure officers are conversant with their service rules, regulation, and laws. C, to test physical fitness. D, to test academic prowess. The right option should be option B. This is the core purpose of all confirmation exams in the PSR. Let's look at questions from the section officers who are required to pass the compulsory confirmation exams. Question number 37. Who is required to pass the compulsory confirmation exams under this section? A, all officers in the public service. B, officers on pensionable appointment who are on probation. C, only officers on grade level 6 and below. D, only officers on grade level 7 and above. The right option is option B. Public Service Rule Chapter 3, Section 5, Rule 1 explicitly states that all officers on a pensionable appointment who are on probation are required to pass the confirmation examination. So the right option is option B. Question number 38. When can an officer's compulsory confirmation exam result be used for the purpose of promotion? A. Never, as it is only for confirmation. B. Only for promotion from junior to senior post. C. Only for promotion to the next grade level. D. Only when the officer has passed an accelerated level. The right option is option B. Now let's look at the PSR rule, chapter 3, section 5, rule 2. It states that the compro result can be used for promotion from a junior to a senior post subject to their other conditions. So the right option is B, only for promotion from junior to senior post. Take note of this question. It is very, very important. So that means confirmation examination can be used for promotion purpose, can make a junior officer promote from junior to senior post, that is from grade level 6 to 7, if he has the confirmation exam on some conditions. Take note of this, it is very, very important. From 6 to 7, it is very, very important. Now let's look at question number 39. What is the condition for using the compro result for promotion from a junior to a senior post? A. The officer must have passed the examination on their first attempt. B. The officer must have served for a minimum of 2 years. C. The officer must meet other eligible criteria for the senior post. And D. The officer must be recommended by the permanent secretary. What is the condition for using the compro result for promotion from a junior post to a senior post? The correct option is option C. The Public Service Rule, Chapter 3, Section 5, Rule 2 outline that the result is used as a prerequisite, but the officer must still meet other conditions for promotion. So C, the officer must meet other eligible criteria for the senior post before they are promoted. Question number 40. An officer who is on probation on a pensionable appointment but is a confirmed member of the JSC or SSC is required to sit for the confirmation examination. Is it A? Yes, because it is a mandatory requirement. Or B? No, they are exempted from the examination. C? Yes, but they only need to pass a single paper. D? The rules are silent on this matter. The correct option to this option is B. Rule 2, Section 3, Chapter 2, Section 3, Rule 6, referenced in our analysis states that such officers are what? Exempted. So we remember any officer who is confirmed as a member of the JSC or SSC is exempted from the examination. So the correct option is option B. Remember, we discussed that in Rule 2, if you can remember, in our previous questions. Now let's look at question number 41. For an officer to be confirmed in their appointment, they must pass the prescribed examination within how many years? A. 1 year. B. 2 years. C. 3 years, as specified by the examination board, option D. So which do you think is the right option? Let's check it out. According to PSR Rule 2, Section Chapter 2, Section 3, Rule 1 specify that probation period for an officer is 2 years, within which they must pass the confirmation examination to be confirmed. So the right option is option B, which is 2 years. Question number 42. What is the implication of an officer on a pensionable appointment failing to take the compulsory confirmation exam? A. The officer's appointment is extended. B. the officer is given warning. C, the officer is liable to have the appointment terminated. D, the officer's promotion is deferred. The correct option is C. Always appointment termination. Question number 43. If an officer successfully passes the compulsory confirmation exam, what is the next step toward confirmation? A, they are automatically confirmed. B, the permanent secretary reviews their performance and recommend confirmation. C, they are promoted to the next grade. D, they are given a special bonus. The right option is option B, because the PSR rule chapter 2 section 3 and rule 3 states that an officer is confirmed at the end of their probationary period upon passing the prescribed examination, and a recommendation from the permanent secretary is required for that purpose. So the correct option is option B. Question number 44. Can a contract officer on a non-pensionable appointment be required to sit for the compulsory confirmation exams? A, yes, it is mandatory for all officers. B, no, as the examination is for officers on pensionable appointment. C, yes, only if they desire to convert to a pensionable appointment. D, yes, if specified in their contract. Now, this is a bit dicey. You need to pay attention to this question in order to answer this question. Now, this is a contract officer on a non-pensionable appointment. Now, is he required to sit for the confirmation exam? On a very good ground, no. But then, if he wants to convert to a pensionable appointment, he should be required to sit for a confirmation examination. Let's look at what the option is. The correct option is option C. Yes, only if they desire to confirm to a pensionable appointment. Because the PSR rule Chapter 3, Section 5, Rule 1 specify that the examination is for officers on pensionable appointment who are on probation. So it excludes non-pensionable contract staff. Take note of that. If you're enjoying this presentation, don't forget to drop your comment and also subscribe to our channel so that you can get an update to the next presentation. We are going to look at fees for invigilators and examiners. Question number 45. Who is authorized to approve the fees for invigilators and examiners for the compulsory confirmation examinations? A, the permanent secretary. B, the head of the civil service of the federation. C, the Federal Civil Service Commission. D, the office of the head of the civil service of the federation. Now let's look at the answer to this question. PSR Chapter 3, Section 6, Rule 1 states that the examination field shall be determined by the office of the head of the civil service of the federation. So the correct option is option D. Now let's look at question number 46. The payment of fees to invigilators and examiners is typically based on what? A, the number of questions they set. B, a flat rate for all examiners. C, the number of candidates they supervise or papers they mark. D, the grade level of the officers they are examining. The answer is option C, that says the number of candidates they supervise or paper they mark. While not explicitly detailed, examination fees are conventionally tied to the work performed, such as marking paper or invigilating candidates, which is the standard practice in similar context. Question number 47. Is the payment of examination fees for invigilators and examiners a mandatory provision of the Public Service Rule? A, no, it is at the discretion of the head of service. B, yes, the fee are a formal part of the rules. No. D. C, no, it is paid for a separate departmental budget. D, the rules do not address this. Section 6 is dedicated to this topic, so indicating that it is a formal and mandatory provision of the law. So question option B is the right option, which is yes, the fee are a formal part of the rule, the PSR rule. Question number 48. The fee paid to invigilators and examiners are typically separate from what other fee? A, the transport allowance of the candidate. B, the fee for setting the question. C, the fees paid by the candidate for the examination. D. The invigilator and examiner regular salary. The correct option is option D, that says examination fee are a form of extra duty allowance and are separate from an officer regular salary. So the correct option is D, the invigilator and examiner regular salary. So it is separate from their other fees. Now let's look at question number 49. The payment of fees to invigilators and examiners aim to encourage more people to become examiners. B. Compensate them for the extra duties they perform. C. Fund the operation of the examination board. D. Reduce the cost of running examination. The correct option is option B. The fee is a separate form of remuneration for the additional work and time spent on the examination. So you are compensating them for the extra duties they perform out of their normal work official duties. Question number 50, which is the last but not the least. What document should be used to guide the payment of fees to invigilators and examiners? A. A departmental memo. B. The public service rule. D. A circular issued by the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. D. The annual budget of the NDA. The correct option is option C. The PSR rule chapter 3 section 6 rule 1 indicates that the fees are determined by the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, which will be communicated, which would then communicate the rate via an extant rule or circular. So the correct option is option what? C. With this, we come to an end of the part 4 of the video presentation of CBT examination promotion preparation. If you do enjoy this class, don't forget to subscribe in order to get more of this review presentation as you prepare for your exams. Thanks so much for watching. And in our next class, we are going to look at 50 questions from the financial regulation. This is going to be the first part for financial regulation. Don't miss that class. I'll see you at the other side. Thanks so much for watching.